That was Donald Trump Tuesday night in New York, thanking supporters and going after Hillary Clinton. He won contests in California, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Dakota, and South Dakota.
Let's go to the guy who was in the hall tonight. Major, bring us up to date. How did it come off there?
Well, it came off exactly as it looked on television, I'm quite sure, Bob. Scripted, calm, measured, and with incredible and rare to see in public message discipline from Donald Trump. And you saw the familiar head swivel of someone reading off a prompter, and who's not accustomed to reading off a prompter, where you have to really guide yourself and your eye to both teleprompter screens to work through the remarks that have been carefully prepared for you, remarks meant to reassure panicky Republicans that, number one, you know what message discipline is, number two, you have a message that could possibly work, and number three, you are learning how to deliver it. We saw all of that sort of play out right before our very eyes tonight for the first time at an election night set of remarks from Donald Trump. And I don't think it's too much to say this was a near desperate moment for the Trump campaign. Senior Republicans, fundraisers, donors, all looking to tonight and seeing what is Donald Trump going to do. Can he give us some sense that he can get back on the rails, remind voters what they were first attracted to him by, and drive a message not only for the Republican Party and its general philosophy, which he did, but also drive a very hard, aggressive message against Hillary Clinton, now the presumptive Democratic nominee. He did that as well. So on both those fronts, Donald Trump, if you will, succeeded. But the reality, the harsh reality, which Trump campaign insiders readily acknowledge, is one speech cannot erase the last 4 or 5 days in the Trump campaign, or for that matter, the wasted 4 or 5 weeks since he effectively clinched this nomination after the Indiana primary. There's still a tremendous amount of work to do, but Donald Trump tonight with these remarks gave a glimmer of hope to Republicans who basically, in public remarks today from Bob Corker to others, were pleading with Trump. Get on message, give us something we can hope for, give us something we can believe in, give us something we can rally around. At that level of political performance, Donald Trump gave them something to hold on to. Whether it's evanescent or permanent, time will tell.
Well, that's the interesting point here. Message discipline tonight, but under the old, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Many times Donald Trump has told stories and then had a different story the next time he spoke. You think he can stick to this?
Well, it's really an open question. Remember, there were those of us who thought when he won in New York and did so well and won the big 5 state primaries a week after that, and he gave very careful remarks. He was complimentary of Senator Ted Cruz, complimentary of John Kasich, didn't use any of the one-line attacks on either one of them. Many reporters, myself included, looked at those remarks and say, well, this is the beginning of a process for Donald Trump, understanding the responsibilities of being a presumptive National Party leader and articulating things in a more measured, calm tone. Well, and that lasted less than 48 hours. So with Donald Trump, you simply never can tell. He suggested he's going to give a very tough anti-Hillary Clinton speech sometime next week. That's a bit of Donald Trump theatrics we're accustomed to, but if he delivers on that and remains in his travels the remainder of this week closer to these sorts of remarks, then we can be able to conclude or come to the point of possibly concluding that this message discipline has soaked in. It's one speech. It's tonight. And the Democrats, as you well know, Bob, are not going to let the country forget about the past 72 to 96 hours. They're going to be hammering on Trump every step of the way. And I guarantee you this is one event that is not going to mollify every Republican, but it will at least signal to them most concerned that there's some prospect that Trump can get better and there is something that they can deal with in the future and not have to keep Donald Trump either at arm's length or denounce him completely.
I think a lot of the people that you talked to today, a lot of the people that I talked to today up on Capitol Hill, I would have to say this is probably the best news they've gotten today, this speech tonight.
Yes, that's why I was describing this as a near desperate moment. I mean, I really do think in the minds of many Republicans, this was sort of a turnstile moment. You walk through and you stick with Trump, or you get out and you head the other direction because you've got to save your own political skin, and you just can't live with the hour-by-hour, day-by-day gyrations and unpredictability of what the Trump campaign has looked and sounded like for the past 2 or 3 weeks. Many Republicans are on that very fence, even if they've already endorsed him. And so I think tonight there was this great sense, hey, you need to lock things down. You need to at least suggest to us, both in talking about the underlying philosophy of the Republican Party and your approach to this nomination, the seriousness with which you take the responsibility you carry for everyone in the Republican Party, not just yourself, and Trump tried to do that tonight.
All right, Major, Hogan has a question for you.
Hey, Major, it's Hogan. I had a quick question for you.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Listen, great reporting. We appreciate everything you're doing over there, obviously getting it in the room. But listen, a question, nobody rallies Republicans quite like the Clintons, okay? So the fact that Trump is going to give this speech on Monday, I imagine it'll be heavy into some of the things, the scandals that surround Clinton land, if you will. Is there any indication from the Trump campaign if he's going to be more bombastic? Is it going to be surgical? Is it going to be over the top? Do you have any indication yet on what they're going to do or try and do to Hillary Clinton?
The sense you get from the Trump campaign is they essentially want to bring two arguments together that have been independently successful for Trump. One, Hillary Clinton is an extension of the Obama administration. That's bad. She also has a shady past. That's bad. That's one argument. The other argument is Hillary Clinton and her husband and everything that they represent are part and parcel of an establishment methodology of politics, an insider approach to politics that the American people have become very deeply dissatisfied with. And that a good example of that for the Trump campaign in this speech will be, look at the Clinton Foundation, look at being at the State Department, look at all the donations to the Clinton Foundation, and look at things that happened in the world after those donations came in, and try to tie together both those donations, outcomes, and suggest, or in fact argue, as Donald Trump began to tonight, there is something deeply corrupt and corrupting about that kind of process. So it's a change argument, a dissatisfaction with the Obama administration or an extension of that argument, and a very precise argument about what happened at the Clinton Foundation, and that it's a natural extension of what Trump will argue were either controversial or shady deals the Clintons did in Arkansas and in some cases brought to Washington. Tie all of those threads together and say, Hillary Clinton is going to try to make me, Donald Trump, the argument and the issue of this campaign. I'm going to make her and this approach to politics and this insider game many Americans have come to be repulsed by the argument of this campaign. So you're going to see, I believe, in this speech Monday, a very sharp distinction drawn about Hillary Clinton and her approach to politics and the alternative that Trump will present to the country.
All right, Major Garrett there with the Trump campaign for us. Major, thank you so much.